So let's get to someone on the inside. Federal Resources Minister Keith Pitt. Now, the sector Keith Pitt oversees has still been able to battle on through this pandemic in many ways and certainly holds one of the keys to an economic rebound. He joins us from Canberra right now. Minister, thank you very much for your time.
Great with you, viewers.
Now, I want to ask you about this light at the end of the tunnel that Scott Morrison mentioned today. I have to squint to try and find it. What is the light at the end of the tunnel? What are the positives out of today's data?
Oh, the shining light for the country has been the resources sector. They've done incredibly well through the pandemic, and it didn't happen by accident. It was something which was coordinated. It took a lot of involvement, a lot of hard work, a lot of agreement between ministers at different levels and local governments. There are still some challenging times for the sector, but we expect they'll do almost $300 billion in terms of GDP for this year. We expect the iron ore sector to be the first Australian commodity ever to go through $100 billion worth of exports, and that means jobs for Australia and Australians.
That's interesting. So while we were all in partial lockdown, mines were running maybe with less number of human beings under them, but they were running and they were operating almost like they normally would.
Well, they're a very heavy regulated sector. They're used to a lot of oversight, a lot of procedures, a lot of the hygiene type issues they already had in place for when you're working in camps anyway. They activated a lot of those processes and worked very closely with governments to do what was required. So I'm just very thankful for the workforce that's out there. Those men and women that put their steel cap boots on and their high-vis shirts every single day and go out and earn a dime, and they're also earning a dime for the country.
What's your forecast, though, despite what might be quite positive in the resources sector? What's your forecast, though, for the next time we have an unemployment figure released? It's got to be bad as well. Could it be the last of the bad figures? How's the forecast looking from Cabinet's point of view?
Oh, well, I'm obviously not going to leak out of Cabinet. It's great to be on your show, but that's just not something that I do. It's challenging to get data. It's a very fast-moving situation. It continues to change. But I can tell you what I do know. I've got absolute confidence in the Australian people. I've got absolute confidence in Australian business to do what they have to and get themselves up and going as quickly as possible. But we do need state borders to be open. We need the economy running, and we need to continue to do what we've always done, and that's be successful, work hard, and deliver what we need to.
A lot of talk has been focused on getting rid of green tape, getting rid of red tape. A lot of the green tape may be removed with the help of Labor, I noticed today, despite what the Greens think. But there's a lot of red tape in the resources sector prior to projects beginning and being signed off on. How can you get rid of that once and for all? We are sitting on project plans that have been in the pipeline for years and years in this country. There are projects in Queensland that have been sitting in baskets for 5 years with, money running out in terms of the number of environmental impact studies they're supposed to do and the liaison between government and mining companies. Can't we get on with all of this and cut the red tape?
Well, necessity is a great motivator. The country will need every single dollar and every single job that we can possibly provide. Those jobs will be provided by business. There is no sense in terms of, from an administrative point of view, to assessing the same thing at 3 different levels of government for the same outcome. Now, we have some of the strictest environmental conditions in the world. No one is talking about changing how detailed and stringent those assessments are. But the average has been somewhere around 1,000 days for an approval for major projects. That is simply unacceptable.
Yep.
Minister Lay's done a really good job in ratcheting that down, but there's some big projects out there. Big projects, basically, people make decisions on risk. We need to ensure that confidence remains in the business community and in the country. But once again, we've got a product that the world wants. We're a reliable supplier. We can deliver at an affordable price, and those absolute fundamentals of business will always remain. But we do need to ensure that we work our way through all of the red and green tape so that people are competitive. And nothing will be more important than lower gas and lower electricity prices across the country.
Yeah, that's interesting. I heard the Prime Minister on 2 occasions today, once in Parliament and once in the press conference, mention the energy sector driving us through the next period. And he mentioned gas on the 2 occasions he mentioned energy. I didn't hear the word coal. Tell me that coal hasn't become a bad 4-letter word in the government.
Not at all. Happy to say coal as many times as you like. It employs tens of thousands of Australians.
Have you got a chunk on you there you could show us?
No, I don't carry one around in the back pocket.
Okay.
But I do know there's a lot of people that work in the coal sector, both met coal and thermal. We've got strong contracts and agreements. There's been some softening on price, but that's just the fundamentals. There's a lot of economies which are closed down. Iron ore is going great guns. But once again, we've got to maintain our competitive advantage. That does mean we need an available workforce. We need to cut red and green tape. We definitely need to reduce electricity prices across the country. And I think there's an opportunity here for manufacturing as well. So we need to grow it, we need to mine it, we need to make it.
I love the sound of that. And how are you enjoying the newish job, by the way?
I've always liked working. This is no different. I've got a different office, but the reality is, they're long hours, but they're necessary. There's some very big decisions to be made in coming months. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity. But once again, I'm only here because of the good grace of the people who vote for me in my electorate of Hinkler. My constituents will always come first, as they always have. And I think there's a lot of people in the parliament right now who are incredibly focused on what we need to do to come out of the pandemic. And I think one of those issues for us, for me as a regional MP, will be a regional recovery plan in terms of the economy. We've got a great advantage, a very great advantage in the regions around opportunities and resources, whether that's in critical minerals or our traditional space. We grow everything that the world could possibly want, and if we can add a manufacturing line to that, well, the world's our oyster.
Hear, hear. My viewers are liking what they're hearing from you too, by the way. That's the feedback I'm getting on emails. Thank you so much for your time, Keith Pitt.
Great with you, viewers.